Joe Rogan came up with a simple fix for eye pokes in the UFC. The UFC introduced new gloves last year, but the eye pokes kept happening, and fighters weren't happy with them. They officially scrapped them before UFC Vegas 102 on February 15th. Rogan was never convinced that the new gloves would solve the eye poke problem in high-level MMA. The UFC commentator believes there's an easy way to drastically cut down fight-altering eye pokes. Talking on his podcast, Rogan said, "I keep saying this, but I really think they need to cover the fingertips. You got to cover the fingers. There's no reason not to. Like, just slap a piece of leather over the fingertips, man. It's not going to mess with your grappling. It's not going to change your striking. It's not going to affect anything. This way, if you take a poke to the eye, at least it's something blunt, not something jamming straight into your eyeball. Cover them all up and add a soft foam ridge over the top, so even if you do get poked, you're not getting a full-on finger stabbing into your eye. Because that's what's happening now. Dudes are getting scratched up with fingernails. UFC 313 just took a big hit. In the fight game, nothing's ever a sure thing, but some matchups are instant bangers the moment they're booked. That's exactly what fans were expecting at UFC 313 on March 8th, with a 5-round co-main event between Dan Hooker and Justin Gaethje. But now it looks like they'll have to wait a little longer for that all-out war in the lightweight division. Australian reporter Ben the Man just broke the news. Dan Hooker's out of his fight against Justin Gaethje at UFC 313. It's still unclear if Gaethje will get a new opponent or if the fight will be rescheduled. In a vlog posted by his daughter Zoe, Hooker confirmed he suffered a hand injury, forcing him to pull out.
We did have a little break. We have been busy. Dad had a fight, or we're supposed to have a fight, but I've busted me paw.
Right now, there's no word on whether the fight will get pushed to a later date or if the UFC will find a replacement for Gaethje. But lightweight number 11 Ankalaev wasted no time throwing his name in the mix, tweeting, "Let's make it happen, Justin Gaethje." Meanwhile, a video just surfaced showing Ilia Topuria training with Paul Hughes ahead of Hughes' fight at PFL Dubai last month. UFC veteran Jim Miller is calling for instant penalties on eye pokes. In a video posted to his Instagram stories, Miller broke down why eye pokes should be punished right away and even suggested that fighters who commit them should take a hit to their fight purse as a consequence.
You want to know a secret? I've got hours inside the octagon wearing these gloves. It's not the gloves. Look, I can close my fist. I can bend the ends of my fingers without the glove even moving. So if it was the glove that held my hand open, I could still go like that. But like most of these eye pokes, it's like that. My hand's not getting held open like that. Are you fucking kidding me? What causes the eye pokes is that little bitch inside that's like being passive and avoiding the fight and not being aggressive. And that little voice needs to get punished by an immediate point being taken away, and in my opinion, a portion of the purse. And then I think you would see him stop real quick, because it's not the gloves.
Cejudo had some harsh words for referee Jason Herzog during a recent interview on the BYM podcast with Michael Bisping and Paul Felder. He called out Herzog for not taking a point from his opponent after the accidental eye poke that led to his loss.
And to you, in the locker room, they address certain things, as that's what Paul's talking about.
Yeah.
What was the verbiage that he used when he was telling you about eye pokes?
Yeah, he says, listen, your hands cannot be out in front or I'm going to take a point. And I'm so like, all right, like I don't do that shit. Like my hands are always up. I'm always, my hands are always to my side, or try to be. And it's just that they talk a lot of shit and they don't do anything, dude. And that's fucked up. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's all I got to say, dude. So I'm sure Jason's a great guy too, but it's shitty on his part that they say all this, and by the time the fight goes down or something goes down, oh, take your time. Oh, you're fine. Like, man, f you. You know what I'm saying? Like, there goes my eye, and for that reason, I lost. You know what I'm saying? Now this dude. So for me, trying to be a warrior, and then trying to come back and do all this, and now I lost to a guy that has 8 losses.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm supposed to be the triple C.
Chael Sonnen believes Henry Cejudo wasn't willing to push through the pain at UFC Seattle last Saturday. Speaking on the latest episode of Good Guy, Bad Guy, the American gangster gave his brutally honest take on the controversial stoppage, seemingly accusing Cejudo of quitting after taking an eye poke in the 3rd round.
This is tough. When you ask if Henry was playing the game, this is tough because I'm essentially accusing possibly the greatest combat athlete of all time of cheating,
of quitting and quitting.
That is just so unlike Henry. I mean, truly so unlike Henry in the way that he did play it. I mean, this is a guy who has walked through fire many times. This is a guy who walked through fire at 20 years old to become an Olympic champion. It didn't seem like he was willing to walk through fire this night. I can't go any further. Only he would know how bad that would hurt. But that was not like the Henry Cejudo that I've seen in the past. That's as fair as I...
Daniel Cormier also criticized the former 2-division champ for his decision to retire in 2020, calling it one of the worst decisions in MMA history.
He's wanting to continue. So looking back, and I know it's hard, right? To go back, well, everybody could have done it different. We can always judge. But was that one of the worst decisions in the history of mixed martial arts, Chael? To walk away then, in the middle of the pandemic, where people were becoming stars. Guys were becoming stars because nothing else was on television. You got to fight in front of the world because the world had stopped. And Henry decided that he just didn't want to do it again. So looking back, was that one of the worst decisions we've ever seen an athlete?
Demetrius Johnson believes Henry Cejudo should consider retiring after his loss at UFC Seattle. Johnson, who has fought Cejudo twice and is now friends with him, feels that Triple C has already achieved so much in the sport that the risks of continuing his career might not be worth it anymore.
Say that it can't, I don't see it happening. Now, would I like to see Henry Cejudo retire? Yeah, I think so. I mean, he's beaten me, flyweight champion, defending the flyweight belt, bantamweight champion, defending the bantamweight belt. That's more than half the motherfuckers on the roster are ever going to do. And yes, I know it's such good money. It's easy to train 8 weeks and go out there and fight, but man, I almost went blind. But I wanted to get on here and give you guys my thoughts and what I like to see from Henry Cejudo next. I like to see him retire. He's got a great podcast with him and Kamaru Usman, pound for pound. He's got 2 beautiful children. He's got a beautiful wife. I mean, he's got businesses. I mean, there's no reason for him to fight and keep risking this.
A video has surfaced showing Ilia Topuria training with Paul Hughes ahead of his fight at PFL Dubai last month. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving deep into the latest happenings in the world of MMA and the UFC. There's been a lot going on, from discussions about eye pokes and fighter safety to the retirement talks surrounding some big names. So let's break it all down and get your thoughts on these hot topics. And how about the recent comments from Chael Sonnen regarding Henry Cejudo? Sonnen expressed that Cejudo didn't seem willing to push through the pain during his fight at UFC Seattle. Do you think there's a fine line between being strategic and showing toughness in the octagon? Is Cejudo's future in the sport uncertain, or does he still have more to offer? Daniel Cormier also weighed in on Cejudo's retirement decision from 2020, calling it one of the worst in MMA history. Reflecting on Cejudo's accomplishments, do you think he should consider hanging up the gloves for good? And what about Demetrius Johnson, who believes Cejudo has already achieved so much that continuing might not be worth the risk? What's your take on that? Lastly, we've got some updates on Dan Hooker, who's unfortunately out of his fight against Justin Gaethje at UFC 313 due to a hand injury. The anticipation for that matchup was high. What are your thoughts on potential replacements for Hooker? Do you think the fight should be rescheduled, or should Gaethje face someone new? We want to hear from you. Drop your comments below and let us know your opinions on these topics. If you enjoyed this content, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more updates and discussions about the MMA and UFC world. We're committed to bringing you the latest news, analysis, and engaging conversations. Your support means the world to us, and we can't wait to keep this community growing. Thanks for tuning in, and as always, we'll see you in the next video.